here. This man led most of the second moto in the 450s. It's his second time back in the USA, and we're happy and pleased to have him on the show from HEP Motorsports. It's Max Anstie. What's up, Max? How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're good, man. Thank you for joining us. 702-586-PULP. You got a question for Mad Max Anstie, give us a call. I don't know what time. Is Lewis Phillips still up, Max? Is he up right now? What time is it in England?
I don't know what. No, it's probably like 3 in the morning, so I doubt he's up. But,
Oh, okay, because I thought Lewis would call in.
He's up for him.
He might be up for Max. Yeah, he might be.
You never know. Lewis might call in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, I had flashbacks to Matterley in that second moto, MXDN. I thought the conditions were kind of the same. Osborne was right up there. You know, obviously he was MX2 in Matterley. But that was a great ride, man. You had to be stoked.
Yeah, no, thanks. It was good. It was nice to come. You know, it's been a big change. You know, for the last year, with the whole year, how everything's been going with coronavirus, with me being injured, with moving from Europe to America. You know, the championships changed for me, the teams changed, the bikes changed, everything's changed. And to be honest, I didn't know where I was going to be coming into the first Loretta's, and you know, my goal was just to keep building and learning and figuring the settings for the bike and all of those things. Because, you know, riding in Southern California, riding around Pala and Glen Helen, I quickly figured out that it's obviously very different from riding around a national prep track. I'm not saying that Loretta's is a normal national track, but it's just the way that they prep the track. So yeah, it definitely, when I looked at the track, I was like, all right, yeah, this is a bit of me, a bit of Europe. But obviously, I've been out here for a year now. I've been injured for a long time. I haven't ridden the Suzuki in mud, let alone ruts. You know, Glen Helen doesn't get rutty. Pala's not super deep like that. So it was still new with the bike and the setup, but we did a good job. You know, they definitely, my team, my crew chief, my mechanic Dave Dye, really, he's got some good experience. My crew chief Clark from No Leans J6, like, honestly, the guy's really done a good job of helping me set myself up, because okay, I've got experience in Europe with the tracks, and I've got experience with racing, but to set the bike up for America is still very different. You know, you've seen guys from America go to Europe. Look at Villapoto trying to run an American style bike doesn't work. Trying to use a European, or me trying to go, right, I want the bike soft and smooth and easy to ride, is not going to work in America. I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't silly with that. So you can't. I have to trust the people that I got around me to do it, and we've done a good job. You know, there's still room for improvement, of course, but it was a solid race. I'm in there. I'm having a good time. I'm not also silly when I know we're going to go to this weekend. It's a new track for me, hopefully going to be better weather, and you know, it could be completely different, but we're going to see.
Well, with the great ride in the second moto, like, you know, you're coming over from MXGP. Obviously, you raced here before. We'll get into that a little bit. You're good in the mud. You guys are normally good in the mud, the guys that run MXGP. So my question after, like, what you saw in the second moto was very impressive. My question was, in the first moto and even qualifying, were you a little bit off on that first qualifying and first moto? I know you fell in the first moto too, but did you change anything for the second moto, or did the track come around for you to get that better performance?
Yeah, no, to be honest, so in between Loretta's 1 and Loretta's 2, I knew what I wanted to improve, with the more of what direction I wanted to go with the bike. So I went to Glen Helen on Tuesday and actually tried a few things. I ended up going out actually a little bit stiffer for this, you know, the American. I figured, like, the track was deep. Yep. It was deep. It was like sucking you in, more than what I kind of expected. So I went and did some tests, and I thought, okay, the bike was working great. So I went with this new. It wasn't a lot different, but just a little bit different setup for the first training, for the first practice, and we only got one practice at Loretta's 2. And when I went out there, I was like, oh man, it's different. They've scraped the track, so for me, the track looked a lot more like a French track that had rained, and it was hard underneath and slick and slimy on top. But the setup that I went with it wasn't giving me the feel or the traction that I wanted. But I knew straight away from the first lap that, okay, I hadn't got the feeling that I really wanted.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
what I learned out here is those 15-minute practices or whatever you get is literally 4 or 5 laps. So there's no time. There's no time to like try anything. So you just kind of have to get on with it. So I did the best job that I could. Okay, I was 15th, but I knew the gate position there was okay. And to be honest, I know when I feel comfortable, I can go fast. And then for the first race, I said to the team, right, I said, just give me a little bit more traction. I want to feel a little bit more like this or like that.
Mm-hmm.
And on these couple of sections, and to be honest, I don't ask, like, I don't know. The way I do my testing or the way I work with the team is I don't know what compression or rebound or any of that stuff does.
Yeah.
I just say what I want it to do,
right,
and they make the decisions.
Sure.
Like, so I say, this is what I want to feel, and they do it, and they've done a great job. And the first moto, we went out, and I actually ran the scoop. European me was going, right, run the scoop.
Yeah.
I ran the scoop at Matterley, actually, in the Nations, and it worked. And the track wasn't super wet there. So I ran the scoop, and I got over the gate really good. And then I just hit the water, and I think I span and like that was a crazy start. And first one, and I ended up coming through. Wasn't too bad. Like, I was in 8th or 9th, and I ended up clipping Cincerillo. He came past me, and I kind of got a little bit sketchy, like just kind of rode in the side of him. Ended up turning right, going off the track, and the bike was upside down. So fuel was coming out. I was then trying to lift the bike up. And I was like, it took me a lap to get the bike up. Then it took me a lap to get the bike going, and I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But for me, I've been in the situation, I've ridden in mud. I've ridden in these situations. I wasn't stressing. I just thought, okay, right, I need to now just keep plugging away. Got back up and just kept doing lap after lap after lap. And right, I ended up 15th. I got points. Like, I was
you were stoked
for a while there.
Yeah.
Like, I was fine. Like, I was fine with that, and I was like, sweet. And that's the thing with America to Europe. Like, say in Europe, I might have just come in and just sacked it off and just gone, waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
But then over here, you qualify for your first race, and then where you finish in the first race is where you go to the gate for the second race. So there's no point in me finishing 35th, because then that screws my chances for the next race, because then my start position's shit. So I top 15 was perfect. I got down the inside on the second moto.
Mm-hmm.
I switched to the American-style tyre that they all run over here, and honestly, I shot out the gate great. Like, the bike really came out well, and I got out. I got around Marv. We had a little battle going for the first lap, and to be honest, I just sat at my pace, did my lines, did my thing, and I was achieving goals. I led a lap, I led 5 laps, I led to the cross flag, I led a little bit longer, and I was actually feeling good. But I go back to the fact of, like, I've had a long time off. I'm still a bit rusty, and I don't feel 100% with my body, and I can definitely, myself and the team, we're still learning each time. This is only their second race doing outdoors.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We're figuring out the bike, and we're figuring out things. But, like, the bike kept going. The bike was solid. We got out of the gate. A lot of guys DNF'd, and I took that third place, and I was really happy. Okay, I led until the last few laps, but it's the way it goes. A lap fell off and this and that, but the other guys are riding good too, and I'm definitely there. I just took that third place, and I was like, now we can go from here, and we go into next week.
Yeah, no, Clark Jones over there at Hep Stuff, he's been working in the circuit forever. Clark's a high des guy, Kiefer.
He is, yep.
And he's a smart guy. So, yeah, if you're telling him what you want to feel on a motorcycle, Clark can dial you in. The only thing I'm worried about, Max, is maybe Dave died dragging you down. I work with Dave at Yamaha for years. I'm just worried about Dave. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. So,
Dave's great. Honestly, I'm really, really lucky, and I didn't know what to expect coming from Europe. I've ridden for a lot of good teams and a lot of teams in Europe, and to come over here, I didn't know much about the team, and and honestly, the way that it's worked, and we've gone into this outdoor season, it's honestly been really good to have Dave and to have Clark there. It's really helped me because I don't have the experience over here with the racing. Okay, I've got experience in Europe, but it's still a different thing. So to have them point me in the right direction and figure things out is really a big help.
But you raced here for a couple of years. So one of the questions I had for you, Max, was, is everything different from what you remember, or is anything the same, or what's radically different from what you remember from your time at Star?
So, I mean, I was 16. I was 16 then, and I think what is radically different is me. I was a kid then. I was controlled by my dad and the people that were around me. I didn't even have a phone. I didn't have. But, I didn't even control my own Facebook. I just rode the bike and didn't speak to anyone. And that was all I did, was eat, sleep, and ride. And I think, I'm now 10 years, 11 years on. Yeah. I've been to Europe. I've created my own life. I've got, a wife. I've got my own setup. I'm now my own person. And I think the biggest thing is coming back here and just being my own person. I can take it for what it is, I can take the people for what they are and the teams and things. And I mean, yeah, people do remember me from when I was a kid. And a lot of people say, "Oh, is your dad still with you? Is he going to come to the track?" And I'm like, no. I said, my dad's actually he's in England. I said he might come to Pala or something to come and watch, but he's fine. I have a good relationship now. He can come and have a watch, and there's no stress. So it's good.
By the way, Star Yamaha, slightly better, Max, than you remember.
Yeah,
slightly better.
They've done well, no, for sure. They are doing well.
You're funny you say that, because I interviewed you when you were here the first time, and you barely spoke. You barely said anything. I remember that. Anyways, Kiefer, you have a question?
Yeah, so you came back here. You were looking for a career here back in America. And back then I saw you ride a couple different brands of bikes, a couple different teams. What made you decide on, okay, I'm going the Suzuki route with the HEP team? Like, what created that? What started that whole thing?
So I finished my... So I won the second moto at Lommel GP in 2019, and I was with the standing construct team, and everything was going well, and I actually ended up puncturing my lung. I crashed in the second moto, picked it back up, passed Geyser again, and then came in, tried to ride the next week in Imola, and got taken to the hospital because I collapsed my lung. So I couldn't go to the last two GPs in China. So that was the end of my 2019. I couldn't stay with Standing Construct in Europe because they were going down to a two-rider team, Ivo and Glenn Koldenoff and Monticelli, and they had already signed their deals, or they already had multi-year contracts. So I was looking at my options in Europe and things, but I came out so in October we came out to America to get married. My wife wanted a summer wedding. A decent weather wedding. In Europe the weather's not ideal. So we came out to the States. Actually, ended up getting married. My wife booked everything in Hollister, which is up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we were up there, and out of all the random what could have happened, I'll fast forward, I ended up on a team that's based an hour and a half away from there. That I could have got married and never gone back to that place ever, and yet I literally keep driving up that 99 road, and it's the same place as where we went to get married. So anyway, we came out, we got married, we went on our honeymoon, we were in the Caribbean, and the whole time I was there, I spoke to Jimmy Button, who I knew from back in the day over here. And I phoned him and I said, "Look, Jimmy," I said, "can you open some doors in America? Because I'm not sure what to do." And the whole time in the on the honeymoon, I was saying to my wife, should we get on a plane back to England, or should we get on a plane to go to California? What should we do? I had deals that I was working on in Europe, but it was I knew. For me, I knew how hard I'd worked with the KTM, the Standing Construct bike, and I knew how good that bike was. And I knew that I just didn't want to go through the whole testing, developing plan again of getting on a new bike and racing in the GPs, because I knew how hard it was. So Jimmy was working on things, and Dustin at HEP was in contact, and I didn't know too much about the team, and I actually ended up flying. I said, right, we're going to fly to California. We got on the plane, we flew to California. I ended up testing the bike, came up to Madeira, which is near Fresno, and tested on their test track. And honestly, I just looked at the situation and thought, I'd much rather test and develop and do something over here with this team than go back and have to do the same thing again and do the same thing. So I've been saying to some of the people around me, I said to my wife, I said to my mum, I said to my friends, I was brought up riding Supercross when I was younger. I was brought up to go to America. I was a kid and I was out here 14, 15, 16, whatever. And if I never got the opportunity to come back to America, I would have regretted that for my career. And, I got the other side of it where the media and people were telling me, oh, it's normally the young guys that go to America, MX2 guys or 250 guys, like look at Hunter and Jet Lawrence. No one on a 450 has come from GPs and come to America. This doesn't happen. And I just thought, if the opportunity's there, I'm going to take it. And Suzuki gave me the opportunity, and I just grabbed it with both hands and thought, I want to take this opportunity and see what I've got in America.
Between Troll Train and yourself and Freddie's been up there. Savachi got a start. It's 4 motos, Max, but we are seeing RM Army in effect back in America. It's phenomenal. It's great.
Yeah, no, the bike's working well. I mean, I don't know much about the JGR setup,
right.
But honestly, we've done a good job. But I've got to say, Clark and Dave, they're a huge part of it. So no, for sure, the bike's good.
It's funny
bike's good anyway.
It's funny that you bring up practice, because whether it's Rattray or Kenny, or I think I talked to Seb about this, somebody else. They're like, dude, it's a lap and a half around a track you've never been on, and the green flag is waving.
Oh, yeah.
And here you go, balls out on a place you've never been. Max comes from MXGP. You have 2 practices on a Saturday.
Right.
You have a heat race. You have a Sunday morning warm-up. Like, it is tough for you guys, Max, for sure,
Yeah, no, I've not got too much of an issue with getting into it fast. It's just the amount of riders, too. Like, there's quite a big gap from, let's say, first to last in
right.
that group.
Yep.
And like in GPs, there may only be 20 guys on the gate, but the 20th place guy is only 3 or 4 seconds off the pace. So you don't have to give them that much room on the track. But what I was finding the last few races is you catch guys and then they're just in the way. And not in a bad way, but you just end up, it just screws your lap up. You're losing so much time by like revving it, trying to go on lines that you didn't really want to take. So it's just learning that and figuring that out. I think, I always watched and I figured, why do these guys rush out onto the track? Like they all try and be the first one to the start. And then I realized that, because I went out last and took my time cruising around, and then I looked at my watch and I'd already done 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I've literally got 10 minutes left. That's like 3 laps.
Yeah.
I need to crack on now and actually try and do something. And the first lap, my fastest lap at Loretta's in that first session when I was 8th or something was the first lap I actually jumped the jumps. I was front end high over the triple and those triple things, and I'm like, oh my, I can't remember how big these things are. Like I scoped around the track slowly on Friday because it was so muddy. I kind of walked around the side and looked over, and I was like, oh mate, I can't remember if this is a triple or a step onto a table or whatever it is. So yeah, and it's definitely different, but yeah, it is what it is.
I'm a big GP guy, Max. Love watching them. Watched them for several years. Love watching the styles over there, the techniques. Now, are you still following it over there a little bit? Are you watching it? And if so, what do you see? What do you see different? Like Hurlings is a little different guy. You got Caroli and Geyser. So what do you see for this season?
All right. My observation, just from a couple of rounds, obviously, yeah, I'm watching it. It's a crazy championship there, as it is here. It's the whole world's been on pause for a little while. So it's definitely their championship. It's going to be long if it goes all the way through to November. I think in the 450 class, the guys are there's a good 15 of them that are seriously. It's easy to be 15s.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not easy to be 15th. What I mean is it's easy to you're pushing as hard as you can and you're 15th. Those guys are fast. Like, they're all. When I watched Latvia the first round, I've had good success around Latvia, but everyone out there is on it. The start is so important there. But yeah, those 450 guys are really solid and yeah, they're obviously really fast. What I did notice though, which was because I was kind of watching the MX2, the 250 guys, and so it's different in America. I feel like the 250 class is much closer to the 450 class here because I feel like because the age rule, they're a lot younger in Europe. So the 250 class, they're quite a lot younger. Whereas here, Ferrandis, I raced Ferrandis in 250s in 2014, 15,
right,
16. We raced against each other on 250s, and we would already. I've been on a 450 now for 3 or 4 years, but yeah, I could still ride a 250 here.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I watch the 250 class over here, that looks stacked. Like, there's so many bikes. Like, you've got 4 guys on Geico, you've got 4 or 5 guys on Pro Circuit, 4 guys on Yamaha. There's so many bikes out there that are good, that are capable of winning. When I watch the 250s, I'm like, wow, that looks stacked. But then, because you've got older guys and you've got younger guys, you've got a mix of them, they can be in there. Whereas in Europe, I feel like they push everyone into the 450 class, and yeah, it makes that class like super stacked.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good, man. You watch like Tonus or Faber will be second or third, and then next race they'll get their 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been.
Well, it just seems like Hurlings is still good, but there's other guys almost coming to his level.
But I think Jeffrey lost that when he was out that time. He's missed some time, so I don't know. I don't know if he's,
Yeah,
on the same.
And you got to
level.
remember as well, it's about points, it's about racing, it's about the season. If they're racing on Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, that's not that much time to recover, and they're pushing. It's better to take a 5th or a 3rd or whatever than it is to go down. Look, you've got guys that can go and win, but then they're upside down. It's a lot easier said than done. I've been in that situation. You to be even competitive in that class, you've got to be on the limit, and you've got to be pushing, 100%, for sure. So, yeah.
We got some phone calls for you here from Max Anstie on the Pulp MX show. First up is Jake. Jake, what's going on? What's your question for Max Anstie?
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
What's happening?
So, first of all, shout out to RM Army. I've got a 2020 RMZ 450, and I absolutely love it. So I kind of have a 2-part question. First thing is, so the podium was Zacho, Marv, and Max. I wanted to know if all 3 of them have ever raced in a GP together before, because I know kind of that time frame I think about works out for when Zach was there. And then part 2, how does their GP experience kind of play into them all finishing where they did due to it being a muddy race, and they kind of ride in more adverse conditions over there than we do here in the States most of the time.
What do you think, Max? Did all 3 you ever race MX2 together?
I'm thinking about that. I never really raced Marv, but the one race, which was, most people don't know that this is my very first GP, was Glen Helen GP on a Star Yamaha in 2010, and I'm pretty sure.
I think
Zach was definitely there.
Zach was there. For sure.
Zach was definitely there. He was on Dixon, and I'm pretty sure Marv was there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I raced him like one time. But yeah, I've never really raced against Marv that much. And Zach, I did a little bit. But yeah, I was young, and he was good in. Yeah, and then he came over here when I was back there, and things. So as far as riding in the mud and things like that, it swings and roundabouts. Barsha doesn't have a problem in it. He was great in the first moto. I think it's more maybe some of the older riders or more experienced riders of just different tracks. Barsha's done a lot of nations. I've seen. He did Lommel in 2012. He's done a lot of those nations. So I think all of that experience plays into it because you know when to take the opportunity and when not to take the opportunity. You know when to jump something and when not to. And in that situation, when it's super muddy like that, it's very important to know. I mean, you can't always get it right, but it's very important to almost take a step back and take a breath. But it's super hard to do that. You put anyone in a race with their goggles on and they're just, you want to go wide open. I was listening to a guy's story today, who was, he was at a race, a local race, and it was a concrete start. Everyone knows on a concrete start you've got to go nice and steady off the gate, and the gate ended up not going down. The guy came out the front, was like kicking it to try and make it go down, just because of the bit of distraction. The gate ended up going down. He gassed it, did like a complete 360 on the start line, and went off completely sideways. It's that situation, even though he's an older guy, you've got to, when you put the helmet and goggles on, it's so hard to control yourself. And in mud and in the wet and difficult situations like that, you have to learn to control yourself because if you don't, you're on the floor.
Jake, good question. We're going to give you an Art of Sport locker just for calling in. You want that?
Yeah.
All
sure,
right.
That'd be awesome.
Stay on hold. Artofsport.com. All the products under $10. Chris Betts has a locker from these guys, and we're going to get one to you, Jake. So stay on hold.
Nice.
Talon will get your information. All right.
Cool. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. No problem. JD's on one for a question for Max. JD, what's going on?
Hey, first time, last time, never time. I've never called.
Thank
I've
you.
always listened to you guys.
All right.
I was just wondering, Max, do you think you could ever become the American version like Chad Reed, but of motocross, like Graham Jarvis, a fellow Brit, and maybe just perfect your game? You're just getting started. I know you were here before in Supercross and you had good showings, but now you're back, and it's only your second race back. I watched you both weekends live, and what do you think?
What do you think, Max? Do you think you can are you think you can win one of these things overall? Like, is that where you're at?
Well, I'd hope so.
Can.
I mean, I led 28 minutes or something, so
Yep.
I'm not also. I didn't travel all the way around the world just to make up the numbers.
Right, right.
I didn't travel all this way to pat my back home.
Yep.
At the end of the year, I'm here because I feel like I can do well, and yeah, I've got some learning to do, but I'm also not silly in. Yeah, we could go this weekend. It's a different track, different conditions, and right, we might find it more difficult. But I've got a good group of people around me. I feel like my team has potential, and we have the capabilities to do a good job. And we've shown that already in the first two. So yeah, I'm going to make small steps, and yeah, we'll see where we're at. But at the end of the day, yeah, I didn't travel all this way around here to make up the numbers. I'm here to compete and to do a good job. It might take me a few rounds. Right. It might take me, even when we go into Supercross, if it all works out next year, like I want to be here. I want to do Supercross. For sure, I'm going to have to learn. But I'm not afraid to work hard and to get the work done.
If I hope you win. I hope it works out well. I like Pipes, good team, and everything else. But Lewis Phillips, if you start winning, Lewis Phillips will be too much to take. I'm gonna have to block him on Twitter. I will have to block him. I won't be able to stand it.
That's all right. He'll be over here with me. It'll be fine.
Have you ever had a teammate like the 7 Deuce Deuce? Have you ever had anybody like the 7 Deuce Deuce, Max?
No, Adam is great. Like, honestly, he is so funny, and yeah, he's a great guy, honestly. And we go riding and training together in the week. And no, Adam is hilarious. He's really funny.
He's unbelievable. You know, he comes on the show a lot on our show, and then I get people saying, you know, he just turns it on for the show, and I'm like, oh no, that's
No.
Adam. Adam is that way. That is Adam right there. You know, so
Yeah. No, he's great. He's great.
I heard he kind of helped you with some suspension settings too, right?
what?
Yeah.
He weighs
Yeah,
270 pounds.
Well,
Adam.
it's different springs,
Okay,
obviously,
all right,
but
okay.
Yeah, no. To be fair, he's been testing a few little things for me. Well, for both of us, you know, we've both been bouncing off each other, but he's been trying some things, and yeah, we've been out of the tracks. You know, he's experienced in. Okay, he hasn't done much outdoors,
Yeah.
you know, racing over here, but he's still experiencing the way everything works and the bike. You know, he's been on the Suzuki for a little while. So, yeah, as far as it goes, you know, like you think, oh, this works or this doesn't work, but I guarantee you, if I set up the bike, or if you have a year, you set up the most perfect bike, and you give it to Adam or you give it to anyone, it's going to work pretty good. Like, just because he's heavier than me, his actual setup
Right.
is still right. Like, he feels the same things as me, pretty much. All right, it might be slightly different because, yeah, he might be a slightly stiffer spring or whatever. And when you get to the fine detail of it, you might be a few clicks here and a few clicks there. But, you know, I rode, when I was on Standing Construct last year, I went testing the first day with WP, and I started with my Husky suspension from the year before, and I wasn't that keen on it, and on the KTM, and it was slightly different. And literally, I went to the track to do a test day. The guy said, right, I'm going to put in the Caroli, Prado, Kolnoff, Hurlings setting for you. Here you go, Max. And I went, okay, you don't need to touch the bike anymore. That was it. Job done. Literally, I went one or two clicks here and there.
Right.
The bike works. So, yeah, it's they have experience with that because they have a lot of knowledge, and it's, you know, okay, we're working with what we've got with our Olin stuff, and yeah, we don't have a lot of settings from previous years, but Adam's still got a lot of valuable feel with that bike.
When you ask him how something is, and he just goes, "It's sick, bro." Bro. and I would love to see Adam when Max drops in some British sayings or some,
Yeah.
you know, and Adam's just looking at him like he's from another planet.
Yeah, he just thinks that I'm Harry Potter. He goes,
Right.
"You're a wizard, Harry." He thinks I'm Ron Weasley.
Oh yeah, that's
my
funny.
God.
Yeah,
Oh, but it was great at the weekend. So in the second race, actually, I came around. It was like the third lap, and he'd obviously had like a bad couple of laps,
Yeah.
and he was like parked up in a rut, and I could see him look at me, and then he like double took. He was like, "Oh my God, he's leaning. He's going, yeah." Yeah, he's loving it. He's great. Like, honestly, yeah, he's a great guy to have around.
Max Anstie on the Pulp MX show. Max, before we let you go, I got to get your take on this. And look, I'm Canadian, so I don't even care. But what the hell is going on with Team USA at the Motocross of Nations? And you're part of the problem, Anstie. You're part of the problem. What the hell is going on?
So, well, you mean in because obviously
The results.
There's not even a nation system. Oh, so you mean previous results?
Yeah.
It's no. People ask me this,
Right.
And for me, it's simple. I was at Redbud at the Motocross Nations in 2018.
Uh-huh.
I ended up beating Tomac, right? And 1 week later, I was at the Monster Cup, and I watched him win $1 million.
Yeah.
So, in my eyes, what do you think he's going to train more for? I have won the Motocross of Nations. I've gone 1-1.
Yeah.
And I got £427, which is about $600. So the thing is, in Europe, you cannot let's not even underestimate him. It's what we do, or what I used to do, every day in the winter, every day in the summer. We are training for motocross. We are working for motocross. Then you have the MXGP guys prep the tracks for the Motocross of Nations. Redbud was, there's a race in England called Hawkstone Park, right? It's an international.
Yeah.
Redbud was Hawkstone Park with a few bigger jumps. It was not Redbud that you are normally used to. I looked down the gate, and I even looked at Roxon, and I looked at Tomac, and they had that normal tyre on. And I just looked at them and thought, what are they doing? They're never going to get out of the gate, and you're going to struggle because it's even though we're in America, it's a European prepped track, and it's a European style setup, and you're just. The guys are super, super duper good at what they do. But guarantee you, 1 week later, you put all those European guys against Tomac in Vegas, and he would lap everyone pretty much. Not many guys in Europe. There's only a few French guys. There's and Prado maybe, and guys that had to go. There's only a handful of few guys that can actually ride Supercross. So it's just it's like a different sport. It's honestly so different that you can't really compare. So that's the way I look at it. Is they do a great job, but you've got to remember the Europeans are going to be the best at what they do. The Americans are going to be the best at what they do, and they do mainly Supercross. Even the outdoors, the Americans are really good at their outdoors because they know what they're doing. Yeah,
the track, and we have the same. And you're going to find this out, Max. Obviously, we had weather the first two, but our tracks are prepped the same. You run the same tire every weekend outside of WW Ranch. You're Southwick or whatever. Like our guys, I walked Teushental on a Saturday after qualifying years ago. I was out there with Coppins. So that's how long ago Josh Coppins was racing.
Yeah.
He was on that fucking Aprilia. What did he ride? What was that thing?
Yeah.
Was that Aprilia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Yeah, he did.
I said to Coppins, "Are they going to prep this?" And he just started laughing.
Yeah.
And it was so rough on Saturday. And I'm just like, okay, all right, there we go. That's GP prep, So, anyways, it's
it's different. It's different. You see Americans go to Europe, and you see Europeans go to America. You've taken the best American, Ryan Villapoto at the time, go to Europe, and without taking a European prep, it's difficult, Yep. But you take the best Europeans and put them in Supercross. It would also be a very different story. So
for sure.
You can't take anything away from the guys at the top level of any sport are the pinnacle of what they do, and it's what they train for. You're not going to get better than the Americans at Supercross because that's what they train for. You're not going to get better than the Europeans that race in MXGP because that's their whole thing. They get paid to do that. That is their main job.
Yeah, no, well said. Thanks for coming on, Max. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you back on this summer this fall. Great ride. Yeah, that's awesome.
No worries. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, thanks very much. See you, Max.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
That's Max Anstie, everybody.
I like that he
Shades
talks.
of Tortelli, 103.
Peaky Blinders on a dirt bike. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have any questions? Do you have any questions for him?
I was going to